Here we go again. I just can't stop reading stories. I keep checking them out, so that means I've got to keep reading. Let's see what is next. Here comes my share screen button. Ada Twist, Scientist. Excellent. By Andrea Beaty, illustrated by David Roberts. Ada Marie, said not a word till the day she turned 3. She bounced in her crib and looked all around, observing the world, but not making a sound. She learned how to climb and made her big break with a trail of chaos left in her wake. She ran through the day, chasing each sound and sight, and didn't slow down till she conked out at night. Where's she sleeping? Right on top of her dresser. Her parents were frazzled, but tried not to freak as Ada grew bigger and still did not speak. Clearly, young Ada, with lots in her head, would have something to say when it ought to be said. That's just what happened when Ada turned 3. She tore through the house in a fact-finding spree and climbed up the clock just as high as she could. Her parents yelled, "Stop!" as all good parents would. Ada's chin quivered, but she did not cry. She took a deep breath and she simply asked, "Why? Why does it tick and why does it talk? Why don't we call it a grandfather clock? Why are there pointy things stuck to a rose? Why are there hairs up in your nose?" She started with why, and then what, how, and when. By bedtime, she came back to why once again. She drifted to sleep as her dazed parents smiled at the curious thoughts of their curious child, who wanted to know what the world was about. They kissed her and whispered, "You'll figure it out." Her parents kept up with their high-flying kid, whose questions and chaos both grew as she did. Look at all of those questions she's asking her parents. Let's see what's going on here. This looks like a fun page. This looks like something I would love to do. Even Miss Greer found her hands were quite full when young Ada's chaos wreaked havoc at school. But this much was clear about Miss Ada Twist. She had all the traits of a great scientist. Look at those great explosions. Ada was busy that first day of spring testing the sounds that make mockingbirds sing when a horrible stench whacked her right in the nose, a pungent aroma that curled up her toes. "Zowie," said Ada, which got her to thinking, what is the source of that terrible stinking? How does a nose know there's something to smell? And how does it stink if there's no nose to tell? She rattled off questions and tapped on her chin. She'd start at the start, where she ought to begin. A mystery, a riddle, a puzzle, a quest. This was the moment that Ada loved best. She's trying to figure it out. What is happening here? Here we go. Ada did research to learn all she could of smelling and smells, both the stinky and good. One hypothesis Ada thought could be true. The terrible stink came from Dad's cabbage stew. She tested and tested, but soon Ada knew it was time to come up with hypothesis 2. That would be a great word for you to look up, hypothesis. Then zowie, the stink struck again, just like that. Hypothesis 2, it's caused by the cat. The cat couldn't make such a stink on its own. It needed perfume and some fancy cologne. So young Ada tested. The test was a flop. She started again, but her parents yelled, "Stop. You don't ever put the cat in the dryer." Ada Marie, to the thinking chair now. By the time we count to 3. Enough, said her mother. That's it, said her dad. Her parents were frustrated, frazzled, and mad. Why? Ada questioned. Her mother said no. What? Ada queried. Her father said, go. You've ruined our supper. You've made the cat stink. Enough with your questions. Now sit there and think. She looked at her parents. Her heart turned ague. Poor Ada Twist didn't know what to do. Do you guys have any guesses what is so stinky? She sat all alone by herself in the hall. And Ada once more could say nothing at all. And so Ada sat and she sat and she sat and she thought about science and Stu and the cat and how her experiments made such a big mess. Does it have to be so? Is that part of success? Are messes a problem? And while she was thinking, what was the source of that terrible stinking? Ada Marie did what scientists do. She asked a small question, and then she asked 2. And each of those led her to 3 questions more, and some of those questions resulted in 4. As Ada got to thinking, she really dug in. She scribbled questions and tapped on her chin. She started at why, and then what, how, and when. At the end of the hall, she reached why once again. Her parents calmed down and they came back to talk. They looked at the hallway and just had to gawk. No patch of bare paint could be seen on the wall. The thinking chair now was the great thinking hall. Oh my goodness, friends, she drew all over the wall. They watched their young daughter and sighed as they did. What would they do with this curious kid who wanted to know what the world was about? They smiled and whispered, we'll figure it out. And that's what they did, because that's what you do when your kid has a passion and a heart that is true. They made the world. Now they're all in the act of helping young Ada sort fiction from fact. She asked lots of questions. How could she resist? It's all in the heart of a young scientist. And as for that smell, what can Ada Twist do but learn all she can with her friends in grade 2? Look at that huge tube going to her nose. Will they discover the stink that curls toes? Well, that is the question. And someday, who knows? The end. You guys did so great. I hope you enjoyed that story. So I thought the smell was her brother's socks. He walked by her after I think he was playing tennis, and then he was holding the cat. Do you guys ever get stinky feet? I know you do, because I'm around you during nap time. P.U. I love you, rainbows. I can't wait to smell your stinky feet again, and we're all together in our room. Bye.